Hello, everyone. My guest today is Madhan. He drives Code Lath's overall strategy and execution. Over the last 15 years prior to founding the company, he worked on diverse systems and technology, including building highly scalable MMORPG game server technology, high-speed real-time video acquisition systems, digital video engagement systems, and artificial intelligence. His book, Getting Remote Work Done, is also the original contributor of Money Manager X open source personal finance software, and he holds a Master's of Science degree in engineering from Boston University, now building getfilecloud.com. Madhan, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're playing in, this is a very, very hot space. So help us understand, how are you winning deals? What kind of customers are paying you?
Yeah, this is the first question pretty much everybody asks us is how do you differentiate yourself among giants, Box, DropBox, Microsoft, Google. So the simple answer is we have a very unique differentiation where we provide solutions for specific areas and industries where they need complete data control and privacy. You can imagine organizations like the military, intelligence forces, insurance, and other organizations like government, for example, that really cannot put stuff without a lot of compliance and controls on place on the data that they have. And that's where we provide. That's what FileCloud does. It gives you complete control because they host the data and they manage it either on their infrastructure, wherever it is, whether it's on-premise or on the cloud.
Do you charge a sort of setup fee to install the on-prem solution, or is that all on the customer?
We don't charge for any of that. Our cost is all inclusive, so support is included as part of that. And yeah, if needed, our support team will go and do the setup for them if needed and configure it as needed.
Okay, tell me more about what customers pay you per month on average to use the technology.
On an average cost, the ACV is around $4,800 at most. But there's a huge difference in terms of our customer base. We have a lot of customers who are paying around $1,000 a year for most of the customers in there. And then there's a lot of larger customers ranging from $1 million to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So yeah, there's quite a bit of spread over there.
Yep. And what's the main difference between a customer that's paying you $1 million per year versus someone paying you $5,000 a year? Is it just number of files, the number of servers spun up?
Yes, it's actually a number of users who are using the system. Really, that is the primary difference. It's the scale of deployment. So you're talking about 20,000 users in a deployment versus 5 users or maybe 10 or 20 users at the lower level. So it's really the number of users. So our licensing is based on user count.
Yep. And you've got your FileCloud server, your on-prem solution, your FileCloud online. The per month per user price billed annually, I guess, is a difference between $50 per year and $120 per year. So significant upsell potential here in your base.
Exactly. That is right.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So how many customers are you now serving today?
We are serving over 3,000 plus customers. These are businesses either spread that we serve directly by ourselves or through our resellers or partners. So yeah, there's around 3,000 plus businesses.
Mm-hmm. Take me back to launch day. This is always a special day. When did you launch the company?
Well, the original company, Code Lath, was launched in 2008. And we worked on a different product back then. And then we pivoted in 2012 to FileCloud. So 2012 was when we launched FileCloud as a product. The first year we made $300 the whole year. 2 to 3 years afterwards, we are crossing around $1 million in ARR. So that's been the tremendous journey we've been on so far.
So that magic $1 million ARR moment for you happened in 2015?
Yeah.
Yep. Congratulations. And what are you guys at today?
So we are a private company at this point, so we don't share our revenue numbers publicly at this point. But we've been growing tremendously over the last 5-6 years. We are about 75 people right now in the company. So yeah, still a long way to go, but yeah.
How many engineers on the 75 team?
It's over 35 plus engineers.
Okay. And did you decide to build, I see you're based in Austin, did you decide to hire locally here in Austin, or did you use an outsourced development team somewhere else?
It's a combination. So we have a very strong core founding team. That's almost all of them are engineers, including myself. So which helped tremendously. We do have about we do have like 20% of the engineers in the US, and then the rest of it is all spread across the world. We have people in Europe, South America, Asia as well.
How do you find, people listening right now wanting to use outsourcing developers? They go, well, how did Madhan find these developers in Europe and Asia? And I mean, how did you find these folks?
Yeah, this has been one of the interesting challenges over time. Unlike many companies, we really wanted to kind of have the relationship with directly with people. So we never went out and did outsourcing companies where we go and find an organization or a company that will outsource for us. Because I really believe that you need to have a connection between the company and the directly the employee. So we find use different outlets. We have I think there's a main one. We work remotely, and there's a whole bunch of other sites which cater to.
We work remotely.
Yes, that is it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. And then there's a few other sites which are very specific, targeted very specifically to remote work, and we use those.
Now, have you done all this bootstrapped, or have you raised capital?
It's 100% bootstrapped so far.
I love that. So how many co-founders are there?
So it's myself, and there's another, let's see, five more people. So there's a total of 6 people right now.
Oh, that's a lot of co-founders. How do you guys agree on everything?
Well, that's not been a problem. We each have our own roles that we all play. So each one has their own strengths, and that's kind of helped us over the years because each of us specialize in one area, and it's not been a problem where you're stepping on other people's toes. We also know each other outside of work, and that helps a lot. We are friends first, and then co-founders next. But that also helps, make sure that everybody's aligned.
Madhan, how did you guys have the initial discussions around the equity split? Did you just take 100 divided by 6, so you each got 15% of the business?
That's exactly about right. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. There was no one that was like, hey, I'm giving up a bigger salary at Microsoft, so I want a little more. Or someone saying, I'm going to work more full-time on this than somebody else. I want 20%.
Yeah, it's this is a challenging discussion, and you can always there's no right or wrong answer. But then I said, well, if we are able to all work towards and find a win-win situation, you want to get 100%. Zero. If even you have like some huge percentage of zero, that doesn't mean anything. So to avoid all these differences, we have I think we kind of have a very equitable structure.
Some of my most favorite stories are bootstrap founders that are outgrowing their VC-backed competitors. So what has your growth been over the past 12 months?
The growth has been over, I would say around 60% overall. So that's, pretty good because we are at higher, revenue ranges, and growing at that rate is harder. Yep. But yeah, that's kind of our growth and going on. Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy. I mean, for bootstraps, that's great. Now, where are you getting new customers from? What do your growth channels look like?
It's been organic mostly. So we've been in, we've been here for a while now. So at this point, we have done a lot of SEO. We do a little bit of SEM, but most of it comes through SEO. Now, with the growing traction, what we are also seeing is word of mouth is starting to kick in, and we are seeing a lot more customers coming in because they worked in one company where they used us. They moved to another company, and then they asked that company also starts using us for their solution.
Yeah, so you want people to lose their jobs because then when they join the new company, they bring you in, and you have one customer turns to 2.
Yes. Or maybe they're going into, they're having career growth. So we want people to have career growth rather than losing their jobs. I think that's
a much sexier way to say it. Career growth. Promotions. Yes. All right. Yes. Very good.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's next for you guys? Will you stay bootstrapped, or will you look at raising capital, or what?
Well, this is a good question. I think, we've got to this point without outside capital, but then it's also challenging because you're limiting your growth, especially when the market and everything else around you is going faster and faster. In the last 2 years, especially, has been interesting. We have been growing extremely fast with very, very large deals along the pipeline, which means we need to transform the company a little bit from a more SMB focused company to potentially, mid-market and enterprise. I don't know, maybe it's going to be challenging to do this without external funding. So we are exploring all options. So, nothing is really off the table. Yep. It's not like I have a philosophical, I'm against getting outside funding. It's just
if all six of you did decide to go raise, how much would you target?
I would say, around 10 million would be a good starting point. That'll get us to do certain things that we want to do over the last, few years we couldn't do so far. So I would say that's a good starting point.
Do you think you could convince, at your current economics, do you think you could convince an investor to give you 10 million and maybe only take 10% of the company?
I think so. I mean, let me see. I mean, it depends on where the valuation goes. And we haven't spent a lot of time trying to, necessarily figure out the valuation and so on and so forth. So that's less of a concern so far. It's not been something that I've spent a lot of time analyzing and seeing that's what would work. Obviously, we want certain numbers, but you again don't know what the external market looks at that from their perspective. So you got to compare both of that and figure out what is going to be what works. But again, that's not our primary objective right now. So it's something more of a hypothetical right now. So yeah.
I mean, in terms of scale, though, you mentioned 3,000 customers, right, and a $4,800 average ACV. I mean, that puts you at north of $1 million a month in revenue, correct? Am I in the right range?
Well, so it's just starting out at this point where 3,000 customers, not necessarily through direct customers. As I said, there are customers who go through our resellers and partners. So when I talk about ACVs, that's going through partners and other resellers as well.
Do you think you can break a $10 million run rate this year, or do you need more time?
I think we will be, as I said, we are not sharing our numbers, but it's definitely you're going to be over that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to get a sense of for growth plans and projections. I mean, do you feel good about being able to break that fairly quickly? The reason I ask
absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The reason I ask is because, I mean, based on the valuations I'm seeing in your space, if you break a $10 million run rate, Bootstrapped so far, getting a 10x multiple for a $100 million pre-money valuation and raising 10 million and selling less than 10% of the company seems very, very doable. It's a very hot market right now.
Absolutely. As I say in the SaaS space, getting to 1 million is impossible. 10 million is inevitable. Or I guess 10 million is extremely hard, and then almost 100 million is inevitable.
Yep. Where would you, if you did raise and bring in a 10 million capital, where would you invest it?
So to be operating this space requires us to be compliant, requires us to have a lot of certifications, and these are some expensive certifications and compliances. So we spend on that. We need to shore up our sales team and potentially think about things like outbound and so.
How many are on the sales team right now?
We have 4 sales engineers
with quota.
Well, they don't actually operate on quotas right now. No quota.
Okay. Yeah. Why is that?
Well, I think when we started out, the sales team is actually fairly new. In fact, we got 4 full-time salespeople only starting beginning of last year. So this is fairly new. So what we want to see is exactly how does it all work when we have new salespeople ramping up, and then we'll figure out the process of adding more. So we don't want to hurry the process too fast in the beginning.
Yep. Tell me more about channel partners. You mentioned this is a core strategy. How are you finding channel partners, and how do you incentivize them to promote FileCloud?
We have over 200 plus channel partners right now around the globe, and they basically sign up for a reseller program. And there's also a service partner program. So the reseller program is basically we incentivize them by giving them discounts on the actual price that we sell. So they get
how big of a discount?
It's a 20%, starts at 20%, and then it ramps up based on volume of licenses. So they're pretty incentivized to bring in deals to us potentially to help us sell more FileCloud licenses. And then there's service provider partners who take our software and then host it themselves and be almost a branded version of our software, which they resell to other, end customers, like small businesses.
White labeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Interesting. Now, if a channel partner brings you a customer, do you own the customer and the credit card and the billing, or does the channel partner sit in between?
For the channel partner, we don't, the partner owns the customer. We don't bill the customer directly. We bill the reseller. Same thing applies for service partners as well. They actually own the customer. They're only billing the service partner, not the end customer.
I see. Okay. Do you think a lot of your future growth will come from these channel partner relationships?
It's been changing. What we see is that the resellers, we definitely see a lot of growth in their space. Channel like service partners, not so much. I think just because of the consolidation going on in the space, people like to use maybe more specific services out there already. So the hosting itself is going down a little bit as a general trend. But resellers space is pretty big, and we are seeing growth in that for sure.
Interesting. All right, let's wrap up here. Before we wrap up with the famous five, talking about churn, critical in any SaaS company. What's your gross revenue churn look like the past 12 months?
Gross revenue churn is going to be around, I think it's around 80%. So 80% is, that's our approximate number.
80% is retention or churn?
Sorry, I meant retention. I
was going to say that would be bad if that was churn. So you're keeping...
gross is 80%. Net is over 110%. Net revenue retention. I always think more about it in terms of revenue retention because it's easier to think about it rather than the other way in churn.
Yeah. So you churn about 20% of your revenue on a gross basis, but that same customer cohort, you expand by 30%. So net, your net dollar retention is 110%.
Exactly. That is right.
Yeah, that's a lot of sense.
And the reason for the churn is because we actually have a lot of SMBs in our space, and SMBs churn a lot more. And especially in last year, 2020 was a brutal year for them.
Yeah, Madhan, good stuff. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, favorite business book.
Well, it's not a business book, but it's a book I love. It's called The Manual by Epictetus. It's just a fantastic book for.
Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I like Jason Lemkin from Saucer.
Yep. Pretty good. Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building File Cloud?
Favorite one? Well, I love Balsamiq mockups. I use it a lot. It's a wireframing tool.
I also love Balsamiq. I feel like it doesn't get enough love. It's the best.
I know, it's fantastic. It kind of thinks on the detail instead of going somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly. When I get thoughts out of my head and I need to spec them for my Trello board for my dev team, I always put them on Balsamiq and then a screenshot of Balsamiq into Trello.
Exactly.
All right. Number four, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
I found that sleep is a very important thing. I get at least 10 hours.
That's great.
If I'm not sleeping enough, I get cranky the next day. So I really want to preserve my sleep.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 2 kids.
And how old are you?
45.
45. Last question. What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
Well, everything is not black or white. That's what I think.
Yep. Guys, filecloud.com competing in a very competitive space. When you look at DropBox and others, they're giving these brands more privacy with their on-prem options, serving over 3,000 customers. A lot of the growth coming from channel partners. They did $100 in revenue back in 2012 when they launched, broke $1 million in 2015. Now scaling, hoping to pass 10 million in terms of run rate here very soon. They're building this and doing this all completely bootstrapped. Team of 75 people, 35 engineers, 4 sales folks that just joined. We'll see if that's a profitable channel to scale. They've got 110% net dollar retention as Madhan looks to keep scaling. 6 co-founders, each own 15%. We'll see what happens next. Madhan, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.